Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on who I personally believe are some of the best 5-star champions to take up the rank 5 as of November 2019. And standard disclaimer, with any guide like this is my opinion. I have an opinion, you can have an opinion as well, and your opinion can be different to mine if you want to. But my opinion is just kind of based on my experience, and I play this game, you know, a fair bit. I've got a lot of these champions are rank 4, rank 5, so I've played throughout all sorts of endgame content, a lot of different characters, but I'm never going to play every character in every single matchup. So yeah, it's kind of just based on my opinion and experience, but I like to think, you know, that's pretty good. So when it comes to this guide, I kind of like to look at every aspect of the game and the 9 areas of evaluation that I would consider if I was a progressing player looking at taking a champion up to rank 5, because a lot of this game is kind of considering like what you need to do next to get the big chunk of rewards that you're after, and which champion in your roster is going to be the most useful to upgrade for that. So we've got stuff like Labyrinth of Legends 100%, Alliance War, Alliance Quest Map 6-7, Variant 1, Ultron's Assault, Variant 2, the XL variant, Mystery in the Micro Realm, Variant 3, Polar Opposites, Act 5 and 6, but mainly Act 6 in all fairness for 5-star rank 5 champions. Is the 6-star champion available? Because there are certain characters, you know, you can rank up in comfort knowing that you're not going to pull them from your next 6-star crystal, so that's always, you know, nice to know as well. And the final column, which you probably don't care about unless you're looking to be like in a top 100 alliance, but it's always good to know, is the prestige ranking of that champion, whether or not they have some fat prestige at SIG 200. So yeah, that's all based off SIG 200 rankings there. So anyway, let's jump into the very first class, and just to go over the key as well. So number 5 dictates that they are insanely effective. So these are just ridiculous options for pieces of content. You're beyond god tier champions, beyond god tier options, and I've been a little bit conservative when it comes to dishing out 5s, because it needs to be a champion that really bangs. 4, like green, is very useful, so that is a champion that's going to do tremendous work in all sorts of content there. So, you know, the 4s and 5s are really what you're after there. 3, kind of the yellow, is good, so it means the champion, you know, works, viable, maybe in that mode of gameplay isn't anything like that special. And number 2, the orange dictates it's somewhat usable, so, you know, kind of like barely usable, like there's a way to play a certain champion, but because of certain limitations or how the character functions, you probably don't want to use that character in the mode of gameplay. And then finally, we've got your dark red number 1s, which indicate that a champion, for whatever reason, just is not good for that mode of gameplay. Stuff like, you know, Corvus Glaive and Labyrinth of Legends, Medusa and Variant 2, just due to various restrictions, man, that character is just not going to work out quite as well as you want it to there. But anyway, let's have a bit of a chat about our classes. So starting off in the Cosmic class, I think there are kind of 4 contenders for like top picks to rank 5, and I think that's Corvus, Hyperion, Captain Marvel movie, and also Medusa. Now, all of these champions perform kind of different functions and do different stuff depending on the mode of gameplay. And I would say the top 2 are probably Corvus and Hyperion. If you run like 4 suicides, Corvus Glaive is very tempting to go for. Really great champion. You can just destroy so much content, like by building up to and with that special 2. Hyperion, I'd argue, is still like an absolute beast for so much content, man. He's so valuable for like all 3 of the variants, also Act 6 as well. And the best part about like rank 5ing a Hyperion is there is no 6-star available, so you never have to worry about like opening your next 6-star crystal and then it's Hyperion, and you have that with like Corvus Glaive and maybe Captain Marvel movie as well. So, you know, there is a little bit of a safe bet there, but I think Hyperion, brilliant rank 5 champion. Captain Marvel movie can be really good. I think she has some more limitations in comparison to other characters when it comes to variant stuff, because she can't have the Nick Fury synergy in Variant 1, so that kind of weighs her down a fair bit there, but she's really good for a lot of stuff outside of that, especially in Act 6 as well. So yeah, Captain Marvel, she's a powerhouse, but also a powerhouse for prestige at number 7 overall, so a champion that a lot of endgame players who care about the top 100 take up there. And Medusa is still just the queen of dominating robots, and there are so many robots in the endgame content in Act 6, especially in Variant 1 as well. It's infested with them, and there are a lot of uses depending on your path and stuff like Alliance Quest Map 6, Map 7, for Medusa as well. And I would say out of all the cosmics, she's actually one of the better ones for Labyrinth of Legends 100%, but I wouldn't say that she's in like the top 5 overall options for Labyrinth of Legends. But a lot of people have done Labyrinth 100% with Medusa there. She can be a really good option for that stuff. And then we got Cull Obsidian, who, you know, he has his uses in the XL variant, Variant 3 as well. Hits very, very hard for Act 6, but also his block proficiency. He's a bit of an expensive champion to maintain, so you're gonna have to do a lot of potion farming if you do want to play a fair bit of Cull Obsidian there. And then we got champions like Venom the Duck. I would say they're in the shadow of the 4 Beyond God tier cosmic characters, but they're still like really, really fun to play, and they're still absolutely insane characters. All 3 of these are solid God tiers in my opinion. So yeah, the cosmic class has a lot of really good choices for rank 5 options. Now, moving on to the tech class, I would say it's probably between 3 characters for like the top option, and it kind of depends on what you need. I would say Ghost is like arguably for most people the top option. She's just so good for so much stuff in the game. Ghost is just a crazy, ridiculous champion. So good for Labyrinth of Legends, really good for Alliance War, Alliance Quest, Variant 1, Variant 3, and also Act 5 and 6. However, the Prestige isn't really that good when it comes to Ghost. Warlock is honestly, one of my favorite characters they have ever made in the game. He is a sturdy number 2 when it comes to the best rank 5 tech, at least in my opinion. Very good for Alliance War, Alliance Quest, the first variant, the second variant as well being XL Champion, Variant 3, a lot of solutions to a lot of the annoying fights in Act 6 as well. So Warlock is a great option to rank 5, at least in my opinion. Guillotine has some incredible damage ramp up, which makes her so valuable for Labyrinth of Legends 100%. She's also quite good for Variant 1, but she really does shine in a lot of the more difficult fights in Variant 2, has a load of damage output and also utility for Act 6 as well, so she's super valuable. Starknight Spider-Man is still a beast, man. He's got a lot of utility, and a lot of damage output. So he's still a very high-performing champion when we look across the board, and you can play him in a bit of a cheesy way in Variant 2, just spamming heavy attacks, but Variant 3 he's great for. Act 6, there's a lot of stuff he's really, really good for as well. So Starknight Spider-Man is still an absolute banger in my opinion. Sentinel is a little bit lower down the list. I kind of put him below like Warlock and Guillotine, because I think he does most of the stuff he needs to at 5-star rank 4 or 6-star rank 1, but hey, if you love Sentinel, man, at least in my opinion, he's not a bad champion at all to take to rank 5. Very good for Alliance Quest, Variant 1, Variant 2, Variant 3 as well. He absolutely dominates there because I like the supercharged Sentinel note, and also very valuable for a lot of stuff in Act 6 as well. And then finally, we've got a little bit of a quirky one. I'm seeing more and more people lately take Dr. Octopus up to rank 5, and I think if you love Dr. Octopus and you want to use him for the variants, because he's quite good for Variant 1, very good for Variant 2 as well, but tremendously good for Variant 3, and he's having more and more uses when it comes to Act 6 content. He's not a bad option. He's probably like top of my top tech rank 5 options, but still potentially one to consider if you are a very, very skilled Dr. Octopus player. I wouldn't say he is a bad option there. There's just, you know, some very stiff competition when it does come to these rank 5 choices. And then when we come to the mutant class, so I'd say for a lot of people the first rank 5 is you know, probably between a Mega Red or Domino, just because both of these champions are just crazy mode. Like a Mega Red, if you run the Suicide Masteries, it's just barreling everything down so quickly. It's just ridiculous when it comes to certain stuff in Alliance War, Alliance Quest, all sorts of variant stuff. He's viable for like all of the variants, Act 5, Act 6, and Domino is just ridiculous with her heavy spam full Trinity. So if you got Red Hulk, you got Massacre, you can just cheese like so much content by building in that full synergy team and just spamming heavy attacks. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So those would be my top 2 there. Namor would probably be the third option overall, because I think Namor is you know, a really good champion. He's got some absolutely insane damage ramp up potential, but he takes like a little while to get into it. And a lot of the fights, like Domino and Omega Red, can just kill so quickly before they can even get to a special 3, even in like big chunky endgame stuff as well. So Namor, I think he's a good option, man. It's got a lot of uses, especially with a fully Sig maxed out one, because then you can reflect all of the damage that you're taking onto the enemy. So that's great for stuff like Variant 2 as well. But you can use Namor, you know, pretty much everywhere. And he's also very, very high on prestige, currently at number 3 as well. So that's a solid option if you're in a top tier alliance. Then when it comes to the last 3 mutants, I think all 3 of these are behind the top 3 mutants. However, I think all of them have good arguments and scenarios depending on your obligations and stuff like Alliance War and what you need for your questing teams and stuff to actually take up. So Archangel is just insane for questing, man. Like, spam heavy attacks, win the game. He's still so overpowered in any scenario where you can bleed and poison the opponent. And rank 5 Archangel, the damage output is just disgustingly ridiculous. And then we got Sunspot. Sunspot's really valuable for me for Alliance Quest Map 7 and the Incinerate paths. Also very good for a lot of stuff in Act 6 Chapter 3 as well. So he's got some solid value there. Then finally, we also have Havoc. So he's really good for Alliance War, Alliance Quest Map 6-7, Variant 1. He can work for Variant 2, works out alright for Variant 3 as well, but also has a fair amount of uses in Act 6. So Havoc, you know, depending if you need his utility and what he brings to the table, can be a really, really good option. Like, I still run him fairly often when it comes to Alliance War matchups as well, so I think he's a pretty solid option to take up. Now, moving on to the science class, we have kind of the big 3, maybe big 4. So you got Captain America Infinity War, Quake, and Void, and all these champions have some crazy uses throughout endgame content. Personally, like, I'm a massive fan of Captain America Infinity War. I think this champion is absolutely ridiculous, especially with his awakened ability and a very, very high Sig level as well. Just tears through all sorts of stuff in variant content, Act 6 as well, and is also very useful for all sorts of stuff in Alliance Quest. So Cap, you know, is an absolute beast there. If you're a very, very skilled Quake player and you love the character, she's a great option to take up to rank 5 for a lot of people. Very useful for Variant 1, Variant 2 as well. A very solid character, and also a lot of stuff in Act 6, just cheesing all sorts of paths and lanes there. Then we got Void, who's still super valuable for all sorts of matchups, like that passive degeneration with all his debuffs is just so great for so many matchups. Also the ability to like cancel out and reverse power gain, healing, like stop evading, like all sorts of stuff, man. Void's super, super useful for Alliance War, Alliance Quest Map 6-7. Variant 1, he's really, really good for. Variant 2, he's okay for, can work out. Variant 3, he's alright for, certainly not the best champion, but also very valuable when it does come to Act 6 as well. And then we've got the Cheese God Thing. Thing is just so cheesy to play in stuff like variant content, Act 6. Like, ideally, you need the full synergy a Thing, but even without them, man, he can still be quite useful for certain paths in like Alliance Quest Maps 6 and 7. There are some interesting uses, and I think the new Mr. Fantastic synergy is going to make things see a little bit more play as well, but I think he's a really solid option to take up. I've got my 6-star rank too, and he's just so cheesy, he's so fun to play, just ridiculous when it comes to the damage output and performance that you can see from that man. And then we got Gladiator Hulk, can be quite valuable for Variant 1, Variant 2, and also certain stuff in Act 6. She-Hulk, very good for Labyrinth of Legends, also Variant 1 Ultron's Assault, and very valuable for a lot of stuff in Act 6 as well. Human Torch, I know a lot of people have you know, recently taken up Human Torch, and I think he's gaining more and more value just due to the fact that he's a very efficient Mystic Slayer. So you need to have the right matchup, but if it's a Mystic matchup and you have that pre-fight ability, you can do some ridiculous stuff. So I think he's a reasonable investment for the future for dealing with like really big Mystic bosses and problems, but I would say he is kind of the bottom of the science class in terms of rank 5 options right now. But hey, if you enjoy playing him, man, go for it. Then we have the skill class. So when it comes to this class, I will say that Aegon is probably the best option if you are looking for just a powerhouse that can demolish endgame content, because he's just so good for a lot of stuff in Labyrinth of Legends, also Act 6 as well, but also Alliance War, Alliance Quest, Variant 1, also Variant 3, can pull like a fair amount of weight. So Aegon is just pretty ridiculous, but also Nick Fury, man, is crazy good. There is so much bleed damage output, the synergies are super valuable, and yeah, the damage output really is just insane, man. Nick Fury has one of the highest damage outputs in the entire game, and yeah, he's super fun to play, solid champion on his own, buffs up a lot of other characters with his synergies, and you always get like the you know, the base attack to heroes regardless. And if you're looking for, what is it, a Mystic and Villain Slayer, then Blade is still like a really solid overall champion. There are so many different fights across all of the game. If it's like a Mystic or a Villain, Blade is probably the best option, or one of the best options for that fight. So yeah, he's still ridiculous in the right matchup with a full trinity there. Spider-Man Stealth, really good for Labyrinth of Legends, very good for Variant 1 as well. Also very good for Act 6 whenever there's Unstoppable. I think today, like, Legacy posted a champion solo in 6.2 with Spider-Man's stealth suit. So there is a lot of stuff this man can do. He's got a lot of potential. He's really fun to play as well. So I'm a big fan of stealth suit Spider-Man. Then we got Night Thrasher as well. You got a fair bit of damage output. You can play him a little bit in Variant 2, man, because his heavy attack cannot be evaded, and that's very good for the boss in, like, what is it, 2.1 there. So he can be quite useful there. Also got a bit of potential in Variant 3 with his damage output ramp up, and also he's alright for certain stuff in Act 6 as well. So if you like Night Thrasher, he's certainly not the worst option out there. And then finally we have Killmonger. So Killmonger, I still think, is a little bit behind a lot of the other champions in terms of damage output, but a lot of people really like his True Strike ability to completely ignore the evade mechanic, and that definitely has some uses throughout Act 6 and all sorts of endgame content. Very useful for certain paths in Variant 3 as well. So Killmonger, he has his uses. I personally, I'm probably not going to take my Killmonger to rank 5 anytime soon, but hey, if you like Killmonger, man, he's certainly not the worst option in the game. Can certainly do a fair few bits here and there. And then finally we got the Mystic class. So Mystic, I would say by far the #1 Mystic option, at least in my opinion, is Symbiote Supreme. Symbiote Supreme is just ridiculous, especially if you have like 3-4 points or above in Mystic Dispersion. This character is just so crazy. He's amazing for so many fights in Act 6 that are really annoying, like the Champion fight, also the Medusa fight with the Do You Bleed note. Really good for Variant 3 as well, has a ton of damage output for that. Very good for Variant 1, very good for Alliance War, and can do some stuff in Alliance Quest map 6-7 as well, and he's okay for Labyrinth, doesn't really shine too much then, but really Act 6 is the place that this man is going to shine. So Symbiote Supreme, at least in my opinion, is by far the dominant Mystic. However, if you love power control, Magic is still just crazy if you're a very skilled player, and you can just intercept the opponent in the corner, keep spamming that special 2, keep them power locked, you just shut all sorts of opponents down. So very viable and effective strategy there. Doctor Doom, super fun to play, ton of damage output. He's got some power control that's a little bit weird, a little bit quirky, but he's got a lot of stagger, a lot of nullify as well. Very good for all sorts of stuff, especially in Variant 1 and Act 6, but Doom, he's still relatively new, so we need to see a little bit more from this champion. Black Widow Clairvoyant, this champion is kind of greatly enhanced and almost reliant on you having the Suicide Masteries if you really want to see a great performance out of this character, but if you do have them, she's really good for stuff like Alliance War, all sorts of stuff in Alliance Quest map 6-7, because she can shift her immunity depending on the nodes you're taking on. Very good for a lot of stuff in Variant 1, and also Act 6, she can be useful for all sorts of different stuff there. And then finally we've got Morningstar. So if you're a big Morningstar fan, like Morningstar, once you get to about 4 or 5 souls and she's fully ramped up, is crazy good. She is so valuable. She's got a ton of block proficiency, she hits very hard, got a really nice like lifesteal mechanic as well, but you need to put in the work to grind up those souls in the first place, which some people like, some people don't. But Morningstar, man, I think she's a really good rank 5 option if you're very passionate about the character and you enjoy playing her all of the time. A lot of solid endgame uses there, so yeah, mad love to Morningstar as well. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think of the best champions to rank 5 spreadsheet? Did you enjoy today's video breakdown? Did you not enjoy it? Did I miss out your favorite character? Let me know in the comments section below. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Please do smash that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.